Hello everyone and welcome to Meta Monday Analysis with me, Skari, your grateful host. This is a weekly Patreon bonus show that I do every Monday live for all the patrons, and every once in a while I open it up to the world so that you can all kind of see some of the cool bonus content that the Denizen community gets access to as a thank you for supporting what I do on Patreon. Now, this is the show where you can ask questions, and I will answer questions, or you can bring up topics, and I will discuss topics from a variety of different things. You're usually gaming, but it can be anything in a lot of situations. And it gives us a chance to go over and break down the Warhammer 40,000 meta. What's competitive, what isn't, what's working, trends, tournament results, a variety of really cool stuff that tends to be rather interesting if you are a gamer at heart and you want to find out more. Now, of course, all the links are down below for the Patreon page and for the entirety of the month of October. Any new patrons are getting a pair of Skari dice sent to them anywhere in the world as a thank you for your ongoing support. Okay, let's dive in to today. Hello, chat. Now, this is live. It is free for view. Everybody can see this, and it's really exciting because we get to do it for everyone. Hello, Wensler. Hello, Artemis Steve. Hello, sweet Meta Monday. I do have a fantastic cup of water that I'm totally going to be drinking throughout this because I talk a lot. And I do love the sound of my voice. Okay, let's dive in. Yo, Gunther, what's going on? Hello, the Reaper Man. Hello, Skariland is Oh, it is October. That's right. Sorry, did I say September? It is definitely October because it is totally October. And Kyle from Geargus Mech Shop is totally doing his Orktober celebrations because, you know, he is an orc. And he does more for the orc community than GW does in a lot of situations. Okay, let's dive in. We got a couple of really cool questions today. Boom, as you can see right here. They're up on the screen. And if you're in chat, because it's a open forum today, feel free to ask questions as well. This happens, the patrons can ask questions normally in chat if they catch it live. But I'm opening the floor to all of you today. And you can ask me questions about the meta, competitive 40k. Hey, Go, what's going on? And all that stuff. Today I even had a 3-hour-long live stream on Twitch, which was really fun. And I tend to do those every once in a while, every Monday, usually, at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I painted some Space Marines, which was really fun. Okay, Skatari Shiro asks, what advice would you give to those of us out there that never received our Nephilim book? I'm looking at getting active again, but it's awkward not even knowing what all the secondaries are. That is a good question. So, sadly, there has been... I don't know if this has been resolved. However, from the last time I saw, yes, there was an issue getting the Nephilim mission pack. Now, the Nephilim mission pack is November, December, is like halfway through. So, is it worth buying one? If you can find one, sure. You might be able to find one secondhand if you like scour eBay, because, you know, there's some people who play competitively and then give up playing competitively and then want to get rid of it and don't just want it to turn into a paperweight. So they'll try to get rid of it for cheap. And that's probably one of the best ways to get it. Or borrow one from a friend who got it and, you know, doesn't go to events. Wahapedia is another good choice. You know, they have most of the rules out there. You know, and just because of that, it's easy to kind of go through. However, I highly recommend you write down your secondaries that you have access to on cue cards. Literally, take the time, write them down on cue cards, but just have them on you so that you can pick and choose them as you go as well. Hello, devs. What's going on? Wensler says, can we ask questions only about Warhammer 40,000? No, Wensler. Feel free to ask. Pretty much, it's Meta Monday analysis, so we break down the meta, but it's also like an AMA. It's about bringing up relevant topics of discussion that are of interest to the community, and you can kind of get my thoughts on it, essentially. As long as we steer clear of like politics, because then everything it just gets nasty at that point. So you steer clear of that, um, and we'll kind of go on to other stuff. But I'm looking at getting active as awkward not knowing the secondary. So that would be the biggest thing, Skatari Shiro. Just write them down on a cue card, find them, transcribe them, and just have access to them so it's easier for you to, relate to them throughout the game. I went to a tournament recently that had purchased a Games Workshop tournament ready pack, and they had cards with little secondaries that they handed out to every player, which I thought was really cool. So maybe going to an event, maybe if they bought that little tournament ready pack, maybe they'll have some handy for all of you as well. Okay, and thank you for your question, Shiro. Really appreciate it. DeMark asks, how have you adapted your playstyle now that you start with 0 command points? That is a fantastic question. So for reference, anybody listening, I have a new Dark Eldar list that I've been using and developing, which starts with 0 command points. And to be honest, a lot of army lists that I have built recently, even my Space Marine, like my Black Templar ones and things like that, start with 0 command points. I have found that more and more it's not as much a crutch. And over like 2 or 3 turns, I can get enough command points to use the stratagems in that like key turn that I need them for, even starting at 0 command points. So I haven't really adapted my playstyle too much. I've just made sure I understand what stratagems I absolutely need for my strategy to work. So I'm not I'm using my CP as I get them, but I know I need it for like reroll wound rolls, ignoring Overwatch, and depending on the game itself, I will know what strats are going to be the most relevant for me and the most useful for me over the course of that game. So I make sure that I have CP to use it. And I might not be able to use it every turn because I start with 0. However, I can, turn 2, I'll be able to use it, or turn 4, or, a cool 6 CP combo on like a turn 3 when I, get the +1 to hit or whatever. So it's like a nice combination that you can then really adapt on. But has it adapted my playstyle? Not playstyle, more like just making sure I am more aware of what is important and what is very much not important, right? But every once in a while, I'll still throw a reroll to a damage, for example, if I really need to try and kill a vehicle or something, or kill. I got through like an invulnerable save, and it's like a chance for me to do some decent damage to like a tough unit. All great questions, everybody, and I will definitely go through them. So thank you. I do see them in chat here, which is great. But thank you, DeMark, for your question. Okay, Fish Eyes asks, have you got to play against Lords of Votan yet? The answer to that is no. I've seen them being played. I haven't gotten to play against them yet. How do you feel about the nerfs? I feel the nerfs for Leagues of Votan, number 1, was very well framed by Games Workshop. Number 2, it's a shame they had to do it. Simply not because it's a shame that people complained. It's a shame that they don't have a process in place that can catch this sort of thing before it is public. Right? So that then they have to essentially, in order to make the user experience more agreeable and more friendly, which is awesome, they have, they want to make sure you're having a good time playing their game, and so they want to fix it. However, they can't really fix it until everybody's bought models, right? So it's like I feel great about the nerfs, It wasn't really a nerf though, because nobody got to play with it unnerfed. So it was just like a balance, like a couple of days, a week into having the release of the book, which you needed to buy this starter set to get, kind of like This Is a Battle book. So it's not really like a full release of the codex. It's like a special release of the codex with the starter set that you could get, but it's not like a full codex release, right? So, but however, the video was hilarious. I'm very happy Games Workshop is doing that sort of thing, interacting with us as a community. But it sucks that it's not just electronic, and they can literally catch it and then just type it into like an e-version of the book before it gets released to everybody. So yeah, it's like good pros and cons to both things. Then again, I think it's an awesome opportunity for them to say, hey, let's go back and unnerf Admech and Orcs and Drukhari and Tyranids, and then we don't have to nerf Votann. And just play with your unnerfed versions of your list and keep all the bonuses that the factions like Space Marines got, but like unnerf everything else and see what happens. Be cool. Drukhari would totally crush everyone, I'm pretty sure. But thank you for your question, Fish Eyes. I appreciate it. And then we have Carl Malone asks, as of right now, where the meta stands, would you go more good stuff Drukhari or a Coven dominant build? Well, if you've seen my current army list is quite, I don't want to say balanced, but it is sort of, it's like balanced. It's a very balanced list that has a little bit of Coven, some of the good stuff like Incubi, 3 killy characters, Hellions, it's fast, it's hard hitting. Something that I've been using a lot recently that I love are Blood Brides. I've really started to learn to love Blood Brides. Jack Harpster even went to a tournament this weekend at the Art of War, fellow Art of War coach, who, and he went with Drukhari, but he was running like a custom trait with a bunch of Venoms and lots of little squads with liquefire guns and stuff like that. More like a Coven-centric build with some like Blood Brides and whatnot. So it was nice to see him do that with like, a bunch of Venoms and whatnot, which was neat. So I think Venoms are like the sweet sauce right now for Drukhari. I don't think a Coven dominant build has the flexibility to deal with the current meta, if that makes sense. I feel like Coven is great, gives you lots of tools, but it doesn't like shore up a lot of the harder matchups that you have. So in like a team environment, when I went to the World Team Championship and I played my Coteries of the Homunculi build, it was very much designed to be a defender list that could avoid specific matchups, right? But as the meta stands right now, to answer your question, Carl, I would go for a mix, but definitely pick the best things out of that mix, right? So have some Coven, but like the Coven stuff that'll help you win, like Grotesques, or, in my case, I'm using Dark Technomons or Venoms, and that's like the key to the strategy of my list, and Incubi and Drazar and a cool Succubus, right? Using the Cult of Strife stuff until it becomes irrelevant or not usable by the end of the year, and then go from there. But thank you very much, Carl, for your question. Okay, so that's some of the main patron questions. Let's dive into chat real quick. So, what's the best way to add a Harlequin Patrol? Says Devs. So it just depends whether or not you want the Harlequin Patrol to be a mainstay part of your army, or if you want the Harlequin Patrol to be a sort of like a technical support part of the army. If you want it to be a mainstay part of the army, then you're running like the HQs, you're filling up 3 units of Harlequins with boats, and then you're putting like either Harlequin bikes in there or Void Weavers as well. So you're doing shooting, you're doing a bunch of little boats, as many as you can fit in, you're doing the characters. And so that gives you like, it's even though you're playing a 2,000 point Drukhari army, you're spending 1,200 points on Harlequins in a patrol, right? So that's one way of doing it. The other way is more of a technical thing. So you want to have access to specific things that help you. So for example, with DeMarc, him and I have been working on he's been developing a leadership bomb style list with lots of Grizzly trophies and things like that. And so the Harlequins add a technical aspect to lower leadership with shards of light and doing additional mortal wounds with caresses in combat, a shadow seer to give the mortal wounds in the psychic phase, and another phantasm grenade launcher right in the shooting phase. And so it's about just spamming that mortal wound stuff, but the leadership debuff the Harlequins give you like a little bit of an edge, where you could go for more of a combat-y edge, where you need like a troop master, and that troop master's relic, or whatever. If you make him warlord, you can give him a relic, warlord trait sort of thing, or like some abilities that you might have, give you access to the stratagems that the Harlequins have, or something like that give your Drukhari list a bit of a boost. So those are the two ways. You have to pick which way you want it, and then kind of commit to that, essentially. But I hope that answers your question, devs. Jago says, "Here's would you resolve?" How? I'm assuming you said, how would you resolve certain army rules that don't work anymore, like Grey Knights versus Demons? Also, would reconsider Votann as Xenos for the purposes of preferred enemy Xenos. Interesting. Yeah, because you can't really summon a thing anymore with like demons. I think that's going to be more of a crusade rule, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. If there's no interaction there, then there's just no interaction there, and play it as is until they FAQ it or give some sort of a break. If you're curious or you're worried about how a rules interaction works within your faction, always ask your tournament organizer. Now, of course, I've put up on screen, this is the Reddit page, the Meta Monday Reddit thread, which gets posted every Monday. That's put up by JCMS 585 or whatever, right? So thank you very much. Compiles all this information, and today I'm using them. Sometimes I use stats check. If Jeremy sends me, Curie, who's on Discord, sends me the post that I can use on a Monday morning, then I can post it and put it up here, and you can see some really cool numbers and stuff. So it varies, but huge shout out to Jeremy from Stats Check, and Innes and Anthony and the crew who've been doing some awesome stuff with the meta data that we're getting from tournaments and events. Fellow Team Canada member and coach Jeremy, who is such a boss. So thank you so much. So I didn't get that information from him today. However, we're using the Reddit page when in absentia, basically. As for Votann at the Xenos army, sure. Like, I guess they did categorize them as Xenos, but they're not really Imperial. They're like their own thing. So I guess Xenos makes sense, because I'm pretty sure the Imperium would like hunt them down as quickly as possible. in a lot of situations, be like, and you're dead. Froy, amigo Froy, ¿cómo estás? Hello, Skari. What do you think our beloved Drukhari are against Leagues of Broken? I haven't played that matchup yet, but I did do a full breakdown of the Votann book, which is relevant even with the changes that they made. So go check that out. It's time-stamped if you want to learn more about the mechanics that Votann have and things like that. I go page by page. Thank you to Games Workshop for sending me, a free codex so I can like review it. But when it comes to Dark Eldar and Votann, and this is any army, this relates to any army. This game is so killy. Like 9th edition in general is an aggressive, killy edition, which means anything that's in the open will normally just die. It doesn't really matter what it is. Like, most things will just die. And that's brutal. So that doesn't change with Dark Eldar. You know, a unit of Incubi will kill a bunch of Votann dudes as easily as they'll kill a bunch of Space Marines. So that doesn't change. And the Votann guys will kill my 5 Incubi with about as much effort as a unit of Space Marines would kill them with, like, bolt pistols. You know, except Votann are paying for, like, a Magna rifle or a beam weapon that'll kill them all, but they paid for, like, a fancy weapon, whereas a Space Marine can just use bolt pistols to kill me. So things just die. It's a matter, it's positioning, staying out of line of sight, staying hidden, only committing the forces that you're willing to lose, and essentially your target priority has to be on point. And that's the thing you're going to have to learn, is that target priority, to make sure you are targeting the right thing. But I hope that answers your question, Froy, and I hope that helps you in your League of Leagues. Wenzier says, because I'm watching your every game with Sylvaneth, and I want to start collecting them. Do you have any tips about troops? I got overexcited and bought Kurnoth Hunters with size already. Well, this is an AOS question. Yes, Sylvaneth are really fun. Honestly, the tree revenants are the best. They are the best. They teleport everywhere. They get you points. So I'd start with 3 units of tree revenants as, like, your battle line. And then whatever else you want to add in, just fit around that. But I would always fit, especially if you want to play competitively. If you're playing for fun, you can do 2 units of them, right? And then something else is a battle line, like a Dryad unit or something. But that's how I would definitely start it. Plus, I'm going to my first ever Age of Sigmar Grand Tournament called the Red Harvest in October. I think it's October 22nd or so, which is going to be really fun. And I'm thinking I'm taking the Sylvaneth because they're the list that I vibe the most with right now. Yeah. The Reaper Man says, do you still play Tabletop Simulator? Oh, I absolutely do still play Tabletop Simulator. Being a member of Team Canada, or the aspirants for Team Canada, and on the we're doing the selection process right now, and that is including us having to play, like, homework games on TTS. Well, homework games, and a lot of times you have to play on TTS. So yes, I do play on TTS a lot. I don't do any leagues and stuff on TTS because I find a lot of the leagues online use weird rules or rulings for things that don't help me practice at all. Because we, at the World Championship, there's a very set number of rules and maps and things, and if you're playing like straight up raw, right, or whatever, like, it doesn't really help when you're playing, and testing things. However, I also play with my coaching clients, where we definitely use TTS to do drills and to go deployment stuff, and we use it as a tool, as a variety of different things as well. Jago says, if you were James Workshop for a day, how would you make Codex Zotes? So, I would transcribe the old Necron Codex from 5th edition, the one with the Mind Shackle Scarabs, and I would just change all the names and make it Zotes. Hey, JC, J2C, what's going on? Happy Monday. I'm having a great day. I hope you're having a good time as well. And Jago says, would you agree that Nephilim was highlighted the need for turn 1 Alpha Strike? I feel the last few codex releases have forced players into this mindset. I don't really think that's true. I think most competitive players will play for turn 2 or turn 3. And going first isn't as relevant as it used to be, especially around the Orcs Admech. Like, when unnerfed Orcs Admech were, like, that first turn, you just tabled your opponent in 1 turn. It has definitely moved away from that, where now it's really that turn 2, 3, right, where you kind of set up on turn 1, and then you go for the pounce turn 2. A lot of the time, I find that makes a big difference. Okay, let's dive into some of the meta. Thank you for your questions, everybody. I really appreciate it. And let's break this down. So, of course, this weekend we had the London GT, which was the big tournament in England. It was a massive event with lots of stuff. I'm pretty sure they had some sort of like final going on, but there was a bunch of people at the top. Lots of 6-1s, 5-1s, or whatnot. It's crazy, crazy, I tell you. But I wish that they did this event differently. I think it's too big and too bulky for its own good. Like, I understand that you want to make some money and may put on a big event and stuff, but like, make it like a week-long event then, you know? Or make it smaller so that it's cleaner when it comes to like creating like a winner, you know? Anyway, that's just me. Or have like group stage, and then from the group stage find the people. They did have the invitational, which Vic won. Congratulations to Vic, who has been around online forever, and is on the Art of War like Facebook page and a whole bunch of stuff too. So, okay, then we have the Alliance Open, which was in Germany. 137 players, 8 rounds with WTC scoring. That's fantastic. Chaos Demons coming up on top. Nice. Some Thousand Suns, Harlequins in the mix. You know, so you're definitely seeing like, wow, 2,000 Suns in the top 4. That's surprising. I guess in WTC scoring, it does mean you're doing a differential, right? So you're essentially going for your like 20-point system. So it's like a, you want to win every 5 points you win by, you steal a point from your opponent. So a 20-0 win means you won by like 50 plus points. So it means you crushed someone. Like you made the differential so big that you just destroyed people. As well. The Michigan GT, 123 players, which is really, really cool. We did have it was just straight up battle points. That's pretty crazy. So there was a 93rd place. Ooh. So Tau taking the top win. Chaos Demons, nice, doing well as well. But it's a shame that they had 2 undefeated players at the top there. Orcs tearing it. Ooh, nice to see Orcs up there. I'll tell you, Orcs have really cool secondary choices. And it's nice to see them performing up here. It's cool. Tyranids, some more Tyranids and Harlequins. That doesn't... 2 Orcs in the top 7. But that's battle points. So straight up... So even though he lost 2 games, he had more battle points than like other 4-1 or 5-1 players. Ooh, straight up battle points. That's intense. I haven't seen that in a while. Fantasia Fanatic in Sweden, 5 rounds. Deathwatch, Knights and Knights, and then some more Orcs. Look at that. Orcs. What is the secret sauce that Orcs have, eh? Chaos Knights, some Emperor's Children, Tyranids, Priests. Ooh, Black Templars. Nice. Goonhammer Open. This was in Winnipeg, Canada. Sisters going 6-0. Orcs again and Harleys. Blood Angels, Tyranids, Harleys. Tau. Good spread up there. Nice to see the Sisters doing well. Crucible. 67 players. Tyranids doing well. Demons doing okay. Nice to see some Drukhari out there. Excellent, excellent. I believe that's Jack Harpster. Doing us proud. I like it. GT Finale, Milano in Italy. Tyranids, Necrons, lots of Necrons, nice. Ooh, Guard in the top 10. Well, that's always nice to see. Moab, the mother of all whatevers. 55 players. Demons, 1,000. Okay, 1K Suns, nice. Orcs, man, is it me or have you seen Orcs do well? Admech doing okay. Necrons as well. Custodies in the top 10. Neat. That's a very nice spread of stuff. But we've seen a lot of Orcs this week. GT in Paris, 30 players. Harlequins, Tau, Cult, Tau, and Orcs in the top 5. Not bad. This is a very busy weekend. Tyranids, Knights, and Drukhari as well up there. Sisters, so that's pretty neat. Oh, the first Necron player in the battle zone, which you've seen. And a Genesville Cult going 5-0. Oh, that's... I know who this was. Well, this was Dustin Henschel. Congratulations to him winning. This was Samwise Procopio. Congratulations. This is Eric, who one of my coaching clients from back until we got him up to speed. Now he's going out there crushing it with the Drukhari. So good job on him. And So it's nice to see people crushing it out there. I did not go to this event, even though I had originally planned to go. And I ended up going to watch the Blue Jays destroy the Red Sox at baseball. Yeah, I took the family out, watched the Blue Jays play. It was their last game of the regular season because before the postseason, and that was really fun. So sadly, I did miss that little GT that happened. Hammered down breast cancer. There's 20 players, but Demon's doing okay. Neat. Okay. So a couple of takeaways. I highly recommend you read through these takeaways on the thread. And then this is the thing I enjoy the most. Okay. Breaking down this stuff. So if you were planning to go to an event, I highly recommend you take a little bit of time and go over this sort of information. Mainly so that you understand what the odds are if you're going to a larger GT of running into certain builds, right? And even if you're not playing a top meta build, this gives you a chance to adapt, right? Adapt your list or adapt your thought process to make sure you have tools in your army that will help you kind of like tackle things that you're going to see in the meta, right? A war gear choice, a relic, a unit choice. There's so many demons in the meta right now. I would not leave home as a Space Marine player without a unit of infiltrators or two. Why? Because I don't want them to teleport and deep strike everywhere, okay? You stay back, right? And that's super important. Another thing I like to see here is you look at the number of games that were played, right? So the games on the week / the games over 5 weeks. So the higher that this is probably the more relevant number. How many games are people playing and what the win rate is with that many games. The higher the number of games, the more relevant that win rate is. If you have like a faction that has like 3 games and they have a 100% win rate, that doesn't really tell you how strong it is. It's more about the curve of that win rate over lots and lots of games, right? So, and then this one here, out of the total 100%, right? What percentage of these factions made it to, or what percent do they make up of the top 5% of the tournament, right? And that's going to be big because a lot of the times you have a list, say Eldari, for example. They have 34 games over 5 weeks, and they have a 60% win rate. Great win rate, very low number of games, but they haven't made any percent of the top 5, which means that even though they might do well, they aren't necessarily doing well to get to the top of an event, right? Cool. So I hope you understand that process. So, Custodes. They have a 48 win percent rate. However, they do make up 3% of the top 5% of the meta on average, which means you're likely to run into them. Sure. Then we have Mechanicus. They really aren't doing well right now at all, but they haven't gotten too many games. Eldari, Astra Militarum, 44% win rate, but a lot of games, so decent amount of players out there. Black Templars, not doing too well over the course of it. However, Blood Angels, 600 games, so decent amount of games over the last couple of weeks. Almost 50% win rate, and you will run into them at the top right now. This one here, big one to take note. Chaos Demons, 53% win rate with 670 games over the last 5 weeks. However, boom, they make up 15% of the top 5% of the meta, which means you're likely to run into them, right? Chaos Knights, they're 7%, right, with a 45% win rate in 600 games. So that's a pretty accurate description of what that gets. Drukhari, we have 400 games. We're like a 50-50. You will find us in the top. We still have teeth as a faction. Genes to the Cult, 51% win rate with a 3% of the top of the meta. Grey Knights, you're not really seeing them too often, but they have, at the top, but they do show up. There's a decent amount of games there. Harlequins, 60% win rate with almost 480 games in the past 5 weeks. So that is still incredibly powerful, and they make up almost 10% of the top 5% of the meta. So you are going to run into them at the top of your tournament. right? So have a plan for Harlequins. Imperial Knights, 5% with a 52% win rate and a ton of games, right? A lot of games, which means you are probably going to run into a Knight player. Imperium, okay, mixed Imperium, not crazy. Oh, and let's do this one. Boop! Bye-bye. Silly chatbot. We must have done something right if all the spam bots are onto us. The algorithm picked that up. It's always a good sign when the algorithm picks up, the chatbot starts showing up. So then we have Necrons. Look at that. 1,500 games. One of the most represented factions in the meta right now. Hey, Akil, how's it going? And 51% win rate, so they're winning decently. 7% of the meta, so you will have to play Necrons. Orcs, though, 8% of the meta, just as much as Harlequins with a 50% win rate, but half the amount of games as Necrons, right? Sisters of Battle, 1,000 games played. Like, you are more than likely to see them. However, they're just falling short of that 5% at the top. They have a couple of bad matchups. Space Wolves, not so much. Tau, almost as many games as Sisters, but they are going to be in that top. They have, Tau are really strong still. Do not underestimate the Tau. Thousand Suns, decent games, but not a lot of time, they're not making a lot of the top there, even though we did see them close to the top in these events this week. Tyranids, 1,300 games in the last 5 weeks, 58% win rate, huge win rate still. So right now, Harlequins and Tyranids, fantastic win rate. Space Wolves, cold for my Space Wolves, says the Reaper Man. Yeah, totally. But they also make up about 8% of the 5% of the meta, which is, means you're probably going to run into them, right? Inari, low count game, but they win the games that they do play. Codex Space Marines, right now, seems like they have a lower win rate in, overall. Same as Fists and Iron Hands and all the different styles of Space Marines. But then we have Codex, this is Codex Space Marines, sorry. Then we have Codex Chaos Space Marines. Now, they're 3% of the meta at the top right now. 1,300 games played, 50% win rate, but you're more than likely going to run into Chaos Space Marines, right? Then we have Alpha, and then you break down all the different factions. Alpha Legion, Black Legion is that 3%. They, by the way, are really good. You also have Creations of Bile. They have a 60% win rate, but they do have terrible matchups, so they'll either win or lose. The ones they lose bad. And there you have it. That gives you a bit of an understanding of how the meta is shaping up, right? How are you going to be playing your games? What do you have to practice for and kind of bring it down? So what do I see? I cannot wait for the balanced data slate. It is due. It has to be showing up at some point. And I'm really hoping that they tackle a couple of things. I'm not gonna put any sort of crazy wish listing out there because that's pointless. But when it comes out, once again, we will be breaking that all down as well. I fear for the nerfs my nids are going to get. I think they might be nerfing mainly Leviathan, if I were to guess, like the transhuman stuff and all the things that Leviathan can do. Town Sisters are good into Creations of Bile. Yeah, any shooting list is fantastic into Creations of Bile. If you can kill stuff at range, you should be good. Right? Yes, Creations of Bile. Well, folks, that brings our Meta Monday analysis to a close. A huge shout out to the Denizen community on Patreon, without whom none of this would be possible. Make sure you support the channel by following the links down below in the description, without whom I couldn't do any of this content. If you'd like to support the channel, like, share, subscribe. I do this video every Monday for patrons as a bonus. And then on Fridays, I do a video called List Crunch, where patrons get to submit an army list for Warhammer 40,000 or Age of Sigmar or anything like that. And I read it down and break it down and give tips and tricks and essentially fix the list and help the patrons develop their next best list. It's one of the cool things that we do, as well as the Discord channel, which is full of amazing hobbyists from all over the world. Hopefully you hop on and I'll see you over there. After all, I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Thanks everybody in chat for hanging out. Skari out. Ah, the Dark Kin. Bye everybody.